A lone girl mops a convenience store. Her life has been one of poverty and illness. One pessimistic night, her life ends abruptly. Reborn into a new world, she faces the same cruel fate. She scoffs at the beautiful weather. In a field, Lithian the knife sits quietly. In the opulent city, she pickpockets the rich to survive. She smiles, proudly declaring herself a villain. With a smirk, she stares at her decaying hand, awaiting death. Her illness is a curse, rotting her body with every seizure. A formal portrait shows the Grand Duke of the Herman Duchy. His son, Hercio Herman, suffered from the same strange illness. A cure was eventually developed, but it was too late for the son, and the duchy fell into ruin. The duchy's people fell into debt and despair. As she walks, she muses on the unpredictability of fate. She laments that the cure is controlled by a vassal family and is impossibly expensive. She screams at the injustice of a world where the poor must die. She knows her time is nearly up. A hooded figure gives her a grim prognosis. Prepare for death. Ugh. She lashes out in denial, even though she knows it's true. With a sad smile, she decides to return to her hometown. She arrives to find her childhood home in ruins. A warm memory surfaces of her mother's embrace. She remembers laughing happily in her mother's arms. She quietly asks herself about the people she loved. She realizes she has no one left by her side. After the orphanage, she ended up alone on the streets. She sarcastically calls the wreckage of her past an amazing view. A sudden noise makes her turn around, startled. She recognizes the woman before her. Aunt Eve. They reunite, shocked to see each other after so long. As she rummages through a chest, Eve explains she stayed behind to tend the cemetery. The women in the north are strong, Eve says cheerfully, sliding a box forward. She hands Lithian a box containing her mother Monica's belongings. Lithian laughs bitterly, recalling the cruel head of the orphanage. She holds a glowing pendant, chiding her aunt for not selling it. Staring at the gem, she recognizes it as a valuable ore. A satisfied glint appears in her eyes. It's still worth a lot. She finds a letter inside and wonders what it could be about. As she quietly reads, her aunt asks what the letter says. Lithian forces a smile, lying that it's just a birthday letter from her mother. Making an excuse for fresh air, she abruptly leaves the room. Click, she shuts the door behind her, panting in distress. Her eyes widen in sheer horror as she reads the letter's true contents. The letter glows, revealing her real name and shocking her to her core. With a crumple, she crushes the letter, whispering about the betrayal. The letter reveals a truth from the past, and she feels utterly deceived. It reveals her true identity. She is the granddaughter of Hercio Herman. Crying, she screams that she will never forgive her mother's deception. Gasping for breath, she clutches her chest. Her bandaged hands tremble with a gasp. Fall, a seizure strikes her down again. She trembles, realizing she was kidnapped and abandoned. Crying, she questions why her life is so awful. Overwhelmed by betrayal, she whispers that it hurts. With a clenched fist, she curses the Hermans. A memory surfaces of young Lithian suddenly collapsing. She recalls believing her mother was her only family, but that woman was actually an unrelated criminal. She remembers dying from the shock of this betrayal. But instead of staying dead, she regressed 8 years. Lithian the knife. Now she finds herself a child once more. She sarcastically calls her reincarnation and regression a talent. Back in her childhood town, everything is painfully familiar. She approaches the home she once shared with her mother. Her mother greets her, but Lithian only sees a swindler. She pretends to be happy, fearing her miserable life will repeat. She remembers the illness that will also return. She knows the congenital disease is unavoidable, but this time, she has knowledge and 6 years to prepare. Blaze, she vows to use this chance for revenge. No, her path forward must be different. She glares as her kidnapper calmly heads off to work. She waves goodbye, silently cursing the traitor. Thud. Her first step is finding the necklace. She searches the house, planning her escape to the duchy. Click, she smirks upon finding the box. She opens the box, revealing its precious contents. She admires the glowing necklace, her instincts sharp as ever. After locating it, she carefully hides the box again. She entrusts her escape plan to her bear, Cezanne. She worries if the necklace alone can sway the heartless Hermans. She recalls her grandfather's cruel refusal to save her. The Hermann Duchy was built on military might and wealth. His son, Theodore Hermann, was the empire's greatest swordsman. Terrified of the bloodline, she plans a hit-and-run cure. She dreams of a lavish life funded by their riches. She sits down for a meal with her kidnapper. Lithian feels embarrassed for ever trusting this woman. When questioned, she silently fumes at her mother's shamelessness. Feigning innocence, she asks to visit the Hermann Duchy. Her mother's suspicion confirms her guilt to Lithian. She uses a friend's name to justify her request. Her mother rejects the idea, citing their father's absence. Lithian smiles, relieved at the predictable excuse. To her surprise, her mother suddenly agrees to go. Lithuanian is left utterly shocked by the response. Her mind reels, baffled by this unexpected turn. Lying awake, Lithian questions her mother's sudden decision to go. She weighs the risks, wondering if her wanted mother will be recognized. While her mother sleeps, Lithian silently warns her of the aristocracy's cruelty. Done, she stands ready in a fancy new dress, annoyed at the early hour. Gasp! She watches in shock as her mother pays for clothes with gold coins. They've hired a rare monthly carriage and bought from a famous clothing store. Her mother calls her pretty, and Lithian decides to play along for now. Her mother happily buys them chickpea bread from a street vendor. Lithian scoffs internally at her mother's carefree spending on this supposed picnic. She bitterly wonders if her mother is relieved to finally be rid of her. The men from the shop motion for them to board the carriage. Rattle! Their journey begins in a large wooden wagon. Rattle, the wagon continues on its path toward the duchy. Clutching her bear, she blames Monica for her previously pathetic life. She feels no guilt, reasoning it would be troublesome if Monica got caught. Hold! She hugs her bear tightly, her resolve hardening. They arrive at the brilliantly lit Haven Street in the Hermann Duchy. She recalls her mother describing this place of wealth and desire. In a city where the night never comes, opulence is everywhere. The grand architecture of the duchy glows under the starry sky. Hiding in a shop, she realizes she's missed her chance to escape unseen. Hearing voices move away, Lithian prepares to make her move. With a determined look, she climbs out, ready to flee. Tap. Her escape is blocked by a stern-looking, white-haired boy. The boy says nothing, staring at her with an intense gaze. Caught, Lithian forces an awkward, wide-eyed smile. She tells herself to be shameless and just walk out. Striking a cute pose, she begins her act of innocence. The boy remains suspicious, wondering what she's staring at. Recalling her mother's advice, she resolves to swindle him with all her heart. She puts on an aristocratic air, convincing herself her act is now reality. Announcing her departure, she turns to leave, but he remains still. She smirks, confident that she could become a famous actress. Thump, the boy suddenly grabs her arm, stopping her retreat. He calmly asks her to tell him her name. Panicked, she scrambles for an aristocratic name to use. She brazenly introduces herself as Sophia Hermann, putting on airs. The boy looks unconvinced, repeating her claim to be the Hermann princess. He silently mocks her for carrying a shabby teddy bear. She retorts that she has profound taste and turns to leave again. A cold voice orders, "Get her," as a hand reaches for her. A grim-faced man snatches her up, and she struggles in his grasp. "Put me down," she cries, as the boy questions her bold claim. The boy reveals the real princess was kidnapped, calling her impersonation a grave sin. Despite being caught, she believes her plan will work if she reaches the palace. The boy calmly asks if they should proceed to the Hermann Palace. Her plan succeeding, she looks on with a delighted expression. Their destination appears, the magnificent Hermann Palace, glowing at night. Still being carried, she asks in awe if this is really the place. As she pleads to be let down, her captor states, "I can't let you go." A silver-haired boy smirks, telling a girl it will be troublesome if she runs away, while she internally fumes at the annoying little kid. In a grand hall, maids gossip about Sir Ian bringing a guest, wondering who the little girl is since he's already engaged. Led by a man with a goatee, Sophia is overwhelmed by the opulence, thinking they must be incredibly rich. Her eyes widen in awe as she drools over a solid gold lion statue. She continues to marvel at a magnificent chandelier, also made of real gold. Her amazement grows as she spots ornate golden vases. Turning to the silver-haired boy, a confused Sophia asks Ian, "What is going on?" A look of dawning horror crosses her face as she recognizes someone. The formidable Hersio Hermann is revealed, standing with a document in hand. Narration recounts the legend of Hersio, the Silver Lion King, an immortal war god who once slayed a monstrous lion with a single sword slice. Back in the present, Sophia sits quietly on a red sofa, clutching her teddy bear for comfort. She shivers, feeling an intensely scary aura emanating from Hercio and the men standing behind her. Feeling their murderous glares, Sophia wonders what grave sin she could have possibly committed. A voice calls out to you, and Sophia looks up with a start. Hercio Herman speaks her name, Sophia Herman, with a menacing expression that fills her with dread. Clutching her bear, Cézanne, she steels herself, remembering her grandfather as a villain who abandoned his own blood for money. She presents a necklace, explaining that her mother told her to go to the Hermans with this item. Ian looks at the necklace she holds and asks about her mother. As Hercio examines the glowing locket, Sophia explains her late mother's will was for her to find the Herman family. She smiles, relieved that she got the words out, but an unseen voice wonders what kind of fool would believe those words, as Hercio looks on with complete skepticism. Sophia is shocked by his blatant disbelief. A brown-haired aide receives an order to take the child to the temple the next day to verify her sanctification. Hercio clutches the necklace tightly, looking uncertain for a moment. With a cruel glint in his eye, he resolves that she won't get out of the palace alive anyway, as his aide questions his harshness. Hercio summons the Shadow Knight order, and hearing this, Sophia has a sudden realization. She worries that she came thoughtlessly with only a letter and a necklace as proof. As Hercio orders his men to watch her, Sophia thinks that she doesn't resemble the cruel old man at all. She tries to reassure herself, hoping everything will be all right. Doubt creeps in as she questions her own identity. I'm really Sophia Herman, right? The scene shifts to a history lesson, explaining the myth of the Tarantus Empire began with a woman from the south. This warrior woman founded a country, unified the continent, and her son became the first emperor of Tarantus. At the same time, the divine empire was created by a saintess, and the Tarantus Empire was blessed by God. The warrior and the saintess stand together as Mnemosyne, the god of memory, is accepted as the state religion. Since then, all newborns of the imperial family and aristocracy are obligated to receive a sanctification ceremony. This ceremony engraves a unique mark on each family's soul, which can be distinguished by priests with divine power. Sophia sits by the window, understanding that if she is the real Sophia Herman, the mark of sanctification will still be present in her soul, as Hercio watches her from afar. The next day, a weary Sophia feels extremely sleepy. She internally complains that she couldn't sleep well with two guards and their scary eyes watching her all night. Riding in a carriage at dawn, she wonders if their quiet departure means the day's events are a top secret. A horrifying possibility strikes her. They are being secretive, so they can kill her without witnesses if she's a fake. She glances nervously out the carriage window. Hercio remains silent, his stern expression unwavering. Upon arrival, a priest and another man greet them, with the priest offering to escort her into the temple. Sophia walks into the temple, her small figure shadowed by the men following behind her. A priest stands before a font of blue flame and asks her to come forward so he can confirm the trace of sanctification. Resigned, Sophia thinks it's not a big deal, as she'll just die again if she's not the real one. As the priest reaches for her, she thinks that if this is the moment that decides her fate and she dies again, she will direct her final curse to the bastard in heaven, depicted as a one-eyed deity in the stained glass window. A brown-haired man in a formal tunic congratulates His Highness on finally finding his granddaughter. The blonde girl's eyes snap open with glee as she internally taunts the person who abandoned her, declaring that the granddaughter has been found. A stern, white-haired man with a goatee sits solemnly on a bench, a dark-haired attendant behind him. Her voice echoes in his mind as he remains stone-faced, accepting her declaration that she's now in his care. The white-haired man gives an order to notify the palace and the council, which his attendant accepts. A faint, relieved smile crosses his lips as he admits to himself that he hasn't felt this glad in years. A kind-faced maid named Sylvie introduces herself to the young miss, leading her to her new room. Sylvie apologetically presents an opulent, rose-strewn bedroom as a shabby temporary arrangement for Miss Sophia. Dumbfounded, Sophia marvels at the luxurious room, thinking it's the absolute best, not shabby at all. The lavish lifestyle continues as Sophia is presented with a grand meal, a beautiful new dress from Via de Jeanette, and a fancy beverage. Cuddling her teddy bear, Sophia contentedly decides that her true calling is to be a rich, unemployed bum. She is offered a bottle of high-grade perfume oil, and the scent reminds her of a perfume that someone named Monica uses. As her hair is gently brushed, Sophia's expression turns pensive, and she falls silent. A dark memory flashes through her mind of villagers being ambushed by magic beasts, a bloody hand lying on the ground, and her own past terror. Back in the present, Sophia forces a smile, resolving to forget the past and live well this time, while her maid, Sylvie, styles her hair. Her resolve hardens as she scolds herself, realizing she must focus on her own survival first and foremost as Sophia Hermann. Gazing at her beautiful room, she vows to enjoy her new reality, cure her illness, and make a lot of money. Full of purpose, Sophia announces she must be happy in this life, and promptly asks Sylvie for some snacks. The scene shifts to a vast, imposing ducal estate under a gray sky. A silver-haired man in a dark cloak arrives at the estate and is politely asked his business by a guard. The man explains he is there to deliver good news from the palace to His Highness Sir Theodore. The silver-haired man mentions that communication stones are being avoided for recuperation, and the guard laments their convenience. A young, light brown-haired man observes from afar, noting that someone he knows is still the same, even driving his own carriage. Narration reveals that after Lady Dorothy died and Miss Sophia disappeared, Sir Theodore's life fell into ruin. A painful memory shows a wounded Theodore, explaining that his search for Sophia cost him his health and his right arm in the war against magic beasts. The Hermann family fell into chaos. With the first-in-line collapsed, indirect family lines grew arrogant, and the atmosphere in the palace soured. The young man is certain that the news of Sophia's return will finally bring Sir Theodore back from his self-imposed exile. At last, a silver-haired man with a long braid stands by a window as narration declares, the dark age of the Hermanns is coming to an end. A cloaked man named Milhauer rushes in to see Sir Theodore, eager to share the good news he's brought. Sir Theodore, looking weary but resolute, turns to listen, his metallic hand clenched. At the Grand Hermann Palace, whispers begin now that another potential master has appeared. Two maids gossip nervously, one complaining that she hates going to the outer palace because it's haunted. Other maids join the discussion, questioning if the Grand Duke is being too indifferent to the situation. Whisper. As Sophia secretly listens from around a corner, a maid begins to gossip about the fate of Lady Dorothy. Sophia is shocked to overhear the rumor that her mother, Lady Dorothy, killed herself in the outer palace. Overwhelmed by the drama, she realizes the Hermann family is an absolute mess. An explanation reveals the Hermann family has two candidates for head, but one of them, Theodore, was crippled in the war. Furthermore, his first son is in the far north, and his second son, Ian, is away at school leaving, in Sophia's opinion, no sane people around. At her desk, Sophia asks Sylvie about the increased activity in the outer palace, annoyed that it's interfering with her plans to steal things. Sylvie excitedly explains that rumors about Miss Sophia are spreading, thanks to young Master Joseph, and everyone is curious about her. A mouth-watering, 72-hour aged veal rump sous vide steak is presented on a golden plate. Enjoying the delicious meal, Sophia thanks the head cook and decides she can tolerate the palace drama for now. A new girl with long silver hair appears, brightly introducing herself as Melody and announcing she came early to meet the new Hermann family member. Melody smiles confidently, asking if Sophia minds that she arrived without an appointment. Startled by the sudden intrusion, Sophia looks up from her meal in shock. Sophia internally identifies the girl as her cousin Melody, the daughter of Joseph Hermann, and notes the strong family resemblance. Melody rests her chin on her hands and gives a sweet, calculating smile. Her sweet expression instantly sours into one of disgust as she covers her mouth and declares, "Something is terrible." The confused staff apologizes to Miss Melody, asking what she dislikes about the meal, while Sophia watches in bewilderment. Melody taunts Sophia, saying she should figure out the problem herself to secure her place in the family. Sophia is aghast at Melody's threat to fire the staff, thinking it's a ridiculous power trip. Sophia advises Melody to be specific with her complaints, otherwise she just seems like she's nitpicking, while also admitting the food is delicious. Melody angrily accuses Sophia of dropping honorifics, but Sophia retorts that Melody is doing the exact same thing, claiming it's for Sophia's own good. Melody warns her that employees will walk all over her if she allows it, as Sophia internally remarks on how truly mean she is. Sophia coolly states there's nowhere for anyone to go above her head, internally confused by Melody's rambling. Melody explodes in anger, demanding gratitude for visiting, but Sophia sharply asks if she was ever invited. Their argument is interrupted by the arrival of the white-haired man, who sternly tells Melody to show some dignity. Melody gasps, "Gee, grandfather," as the staff respectfully address him as His Royal Highness. Rushing to his side, Melody tearfully accuses Sophia of harassing her, leaving Sophia utterly stunned. Melody lies that she was only showing concern but was mocked for her dress, while Sophia recalls her mother's lesson on being confident when framing someone. As Melody calls her rude, Sophia smirks, thinking this is hardly her first life-or-death situation, having already died twice before. The grandfather holds a crying Melody while calling out to Sophia. Sophia calmly explains she was simply judging Melody's intelligence with the same standards Melody used for the food. Sophia pointedly asks if Melody Herman threatened an employee over their contract, causing Melody to stammer. Melody argues that employees must be loyal, as the terrified maids watch and Sophia thinks her cousin is amazing. As Melody insists on absolute obedience, the grandfather reveals that he personally interviewed and handpicked all the current employees. He tells Melody that calling them unloyal insults his judgment and orders her to apologize to everyone present. Defeated, Melody stands with her back turned, her long silver hair hiding her expression. A maid offers to escort Melody out, and Sophia panics at the thought of being left behind. The other maid also quickly departs, and Sophia desperately shouts for them not to leave her alone. She screams in her mind not to be left alone with the intimidating old man who looms behind her. Panicked, Sophia worries she was too arrogant and now won't leave the palace alive. The grandfather asks if she was upset by the confrontation, to which she timidly replies, "Pardon?" He asks if the family quarrel upset her and considers calling for Joseph, while a small chibi Sophia thinks he must be right about her being young. He lectures her that she can't be a Herman if she's bothered by such things, and warns she'll face the Council of Elders upon Theodore's return. He sternly reminds her that as a Herman, she must always protect her dignity. Wait, a sudden movement sends her teddy bear tumbling off the table. Jewels, coins, and silverware spill from the bear's hidden compartment, scattering across the floor. Her face pales as she looks at the incriminating evidence and thinks, "I am done for." The grandfather stares down at a terrified Sophia curled on the floor amidst her stolen treasures, realizing this is the end for her. A new chapter begins under a full moon, titled Cute Villainess. The grandfather reflects to his attendant that he has never had regrets, always preparing for his mistakes and viewing the past as foolish. He now feels strange and old, wishing for the first time that he could turn back time. His moment of reflection ends as he turns to the mess on the floor and demands an explanation from Sophia Herman. With a defiant look, Sophia gives a simple, shocking answer, "I stole them." He questions why, telling her that as a Herman, she has no need to steal. Sophia looks him in the eye and declares she stole because he hates her. He asks what that has to do with anything. She tells him to just kick her out, since he doesn't like her anyway. The grandfather confides in his attendant that they should have looked for Sophia first, but the attendant reminds him that Sir Theodore tried his best, despite numerous swindlers. The attendant wonders where she was all this time, noting that Miss Sophia has avoided the topic. Clenching his fist, the grandfather orders a model answer prepared for the Council of Elders regarding this situation. He grips the balcony railing, lost in silent thought. Sophia stands alone, seemingly vulnerable in a soft, ethereal light. The Herman family teaching is revealed. As the strongest, they must never show weakness. A stern, silver-haired Herman sits enthroned, embodying their motto, "Kill first, before you get killed." The grandfather looks out at the night sky, realizing such a harsh teaching can't heal a child's wounds. He concludes that Theodore's decision to leave the palace was an obvious result of their family's cold doctrine. The scene shifts to a bright new day in the palace gardens. Standing on the balcony in a new dress, Sophia thinks to herself that yesterday was the worst day. In a nightmare, Hercio threatens to eat her limbs for stealing. She worries her commoner habits will get her kicked out. A spark of an idea forms in her eyes. Her plan involves the grand, golden lion fountain. She focuses on the glittering golden lion statue. She quickly reaches for the statue before anyone sees. Ahem, a sudden noise makes her freeze in her tracks. 3 men now stand before her, including the white-haired man. She feigns innocence, annoyed that the old man has increased her surveillance. The white-haired man stares down at her in silence. She meets his intense gaze, and they have a silent standoff. Their silent confrontation continues, a question hanging in the air. He asks if she wants to steal the lion statue, She nervously denies it. He calmly tells her that stealing is bad. The white-haired man introduces himself as Theodore. Startled, she stammers a greeting to her biological father. Later, Theodore sits opposite his own father, Hircio Hermann. Theodore and his men silently repeat the word Ahursi. Hircio decides to get her a gold lion 10 times bigger. Theodore objects, saying rash rewards are bad for her education. Hircio argues that showering her with favor will make her moral. Sigh. Theodore is bewildered by his father's bizarre logic. Theodore declares he'll take the children from the palace and its unhappy teachings. Hircio reminds him of his 5-year absence, adding that Sophie wants to stay. Theodore and his men remain silent, listening to Hircio's words. His men are shocked that Hircio is using a nickname. Theodore vows to wait for Sophia to make her own decision. A past memory surfaces amid falling petals, a voice expressing relief. The memory shows a blonde woman holding a baby Sophia. Theodore recalls his wife saying their daughter didn't look like a Hermann. His wife believed their child would be different from the other Hermanns. Back in the present, Theodore remains quiet, lost in the memory. He resolves that Sophia will choose her own path. He remembers his wife's hope that their child would live freely, unlike a Hermann. With Theodore's return, Sophia's formal education is set to begin. A smiling man arrives, whom she identifies as a Shadow Knight. For a week, she studies in Theodore's room under constant watch. Her father, Theodore, sits nearby, engrossed in a book. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. She cringes, remembering how she ruined her first impressions with both him and Hircio. She admits it hasn't sunk in that this unknown man is her father. Observing him, she thinks they don't resemble each other at all. She is surprised to find that Theodore is a very studious person. Constantly reading and writing, he seems more like a scholar than a swordsman. She is stunned to discover he is an amazing cook. She marvels that the bloodline could cook so well despite his lost arm. She realizes his prosthetic hand must be powered by countless magic stones. This is the power of money, Sophia, he tells her, and she wholeheartedly agrees. She blissfully enjoys the amazing meal he prepared. Theodore observes her eating, commenting that she must like meat dishes. Ahem. She nervously replies that everything is delicious, especially his dessert. She calls his cooking the best in the world, stunning him into silence. A faint, gentle smile graces Theodore's lips. Flustered by his reaction, she blurts out, "Don't smile." She reflects on how she once yearned for a father. Now she believes the concept of family is simply hypocrisy. She resolves not to get attached, seeing him only as a genetic link. With hardened eyes, she tells herself to get a proper hold of herself. Later, a man suggests she could skip to advanced classes. Embarrassed, she inwardly boasts about her high school education as a cheat key. Her father, Theodore, asks if there's anything specific she'd like to study. She privately thinks she'd rather learn sword arts than academics. Her eyes light up with an idea as she gazes at the massive library. With a Magic Beast War veteran present, she realizes her unique opportunity. She declares her desire to study magic beasts, feigning curiosity. Her true motive is to investigate the suspicious magic beast attack on a border town. She recalls the town's mine never produced magic stones, vowing to uncover the truth. Theodore sits with her as she begins her studies. She opens a large, dark book, ready to learn. The book explains the 2 types of magical beasts, transcendental and mutated. It details how transcendental beasts attack with hostility, while mutated ones raid to eat people. She remembers her 10th birthday, returning to a town ravaged by beasts. A purple, multi-eyed, transcendental beast was the culprit. She recalls the attack originated from the direction of the town's mine. On that tragic day, Monica was working at that very mine. The memory shows her younger self, standing frozen in shock. She remembers standing over the gruesome, bloody aftermath of the attack. Back in the present, she recalls the miners' bodies were never found. She questions the official story, wondering why no remains were discovered. She dismisses the idea they were simply eaten, sensing a deeper secret. Lost in thought, she's startled by her father's touch and voice. Theodore tells her to rest before the Council of Elders meeting. Clutching the book, she feels certain a secret lies within the tragedy. Her gaze is filled with determination as she holds the book close. Her thoughts linger on the atrocity that destroyed the border town. She remembers Monica's betrayal and her past desire to ignore it for safety. Sitting with her bear, she decides she can't give up on the truth. Recalling her past life, She knows she was never a coward. She resolves that if she can do something, she won't turn a blind eye. To investigate, she realizes she'll need a network of informants. Her thoughts are interrupted as she calls for someone named Sylvie. A cheerful, silver-haired girl enters, playfully calling her Miss Little Thief. Eek! Sophia is horrified as the girl, Melody, recites rumors of her stealing. Melody mockingly asks if she plans to steal the Herman identity next. She smugly reveals she knows Sophia's commoner past, calling her attempt to become a Herman ridiculous. Melody gestures to the book, questioning why she's even bothering to study. Kaya. She recoils in disgust from an illustration, declaring it proves Sophia isn't a true Herman. Sophia calmly retorts that she's just studying magical beasts. Melody scoffs, stating that nobles don't fight magical beasts. Melody yells that Sophia can't hide her social status or be acknowledged as a Herman. Suddenly, Melody starts hitting herself, crying out for Sophia to stop and asking why she's doing this. Wah! Hearing the commotion, two maids rush in to find a wailing Melody. Sophia realizes, with disgust, that Melody is scheming to frame her for the assault. Frustrated by the childishness, Sophia thinks she can't even hit back, as Melody cries that Sophia suddenly attacked her. A white-haired boy appears at the window, shocking Sophia, who wonders who he is. Now inside, the boy looks on as a tearful Melody acts out her plight for the maids, leaving Sophia speechless. Sophia stares at the boy, internally panicking that he just climbed up to her fourth-floor room. He is Theodore Herman's second son, whose engagement to the princess was arranged by the imperial family. A memory shows the boy gently holding hands with the princess amidst white lilies. Wah! Melody runs to the boy, calling him Brother Ian, and blaming Sophia's lowly book for making her violent. Ian gives a cool, assessing glance at the scene. He gestures to the table, correctly identifying the book as an introduction to magical beast study. Ian calmly addresses Melody, stating he heard her say the war with magical beasts is trifling and for commoners. Melody confirms this, adding that her father taught her aristocrats don't engage in such unsophisticated acts. Ian questions if their Uncle Theodore's actions on the battlefield are also unsophisticated, but Melody claims it's different for a Herman. She is taken aback as Ian presses her, asking what she means by acting. He reveals he watched everything from the window and saw her tearing out her own hair, leaving Melody speechless. With a sharp gaze, Ian tells her that framing someone will force her to reconsider her definition of dignity. He advises her to reflect on whether her actions today were worthy of a Herman. Ian instructs the two maids to escort Melody back to her room, as he has something to discuss with Sophia. He warns the maids not to tell the adults about this trifling matter. The maids quickly agree, taking the disgraced Melody away and telling her it's time to return to her room. Watching them leave, Sophia thinks Melody is in trouble and wonders when she will ever mature. Ian asks Sophia why Melody dislikes her, and she speculates it's simply because she's a Herman. Ian dismisses this as nonsensical, stating plainly that she is, in fact, a Herman. Sophia expresses doubt, noting she doesn't look like a Herman and suspects he's here because he's suspicious too. He admits the rumor of a, quote, princess who steals was interesting, causing Sophia to cringe in embarrassment. Ian then looks at her seriously, clarifying that he came because he believes she is a Herman. They begin walking together down a grand, gilded palace hallway. Ian leads the way as they walk past a series of ornate portraits. Sophia glances at him from behind, contemplating his unexpected statement. He stops before a large door, simply telling her, "Here." He reveals a magnificent portrait, introducing the woman in it as their mother, Dorothy Herman. Sophia gasps, staring at the painting with tears in her eyes, feeling an overwhelming sense of connection. The portrait shows a smiling, blonde-haired woman who bears a striking resemblance to Sophia. Ian tells her he knew she was a Herman the moment he saw her, leaving Sophia stunned. She flashes back to her past life, realizing she never had the chance to become an adult. Looking at her mother's image, she wonders if she will finally be able to grow up in this third life. A look of longing crosses her face as she questions if she will ever get that chance. The scene shifts to a formal hall, where Theodore stands before his seated father, Hercio. Now dressed in a formal blue gown, Sophia holds her father Theodore's hand, ready for the meeting. A council elder begins, announcing the agenda is the approval of Sophia Herman's lineal rights. Theodore quietly offers Sophia an out, telling her they can leave immediately if she feels uncomfortable. With a confident smile, Sophia simply replies, "No." She resolves internally that she cannot run away from these old men, She sees this moment as her first step toward becoming an adult. Standing tall and determined, Sophia declares her first goal is to be formally acknowledged as a member of the Herman family. The Herman Council of Elders is introduced as a legislative body meant to check the family head. At a long table, council elders criticize Sophia's blonde hair and accent, refusing to recognize her. Sophia endures their insults about her lacking elegance and having a poor physique. Two elders animatedly insist that true Hermans are born with overwhelming charisma and dignity. Sophia sighs at the personal attacks, as an elder claims even her impersonator was better. Theodore sternly defends Sophia as his daughter, warning the elders to watch their words. The elders recoil in terror as Sophia panics, realizing her father is directing murderous intent at them. Hercio calls out to Theodore, telling him to retract his killing intent before the old men collapse. Ha! Hercio sarcastically tells the elders to calm down or be admitted to a nursing home. The terrified elders whimper as Hercio reflects on his own infamous temper. Hercio addresses an elder named Riverson, impatiently suggesting they end the meaningless meeting. Riverson stands, respectfully declining to end the meeting, and announcing he will speak for the council. Riverson begins by asking everyone to acknowledge the safe return of the Duke's long-lost youngest daughter. Another man confirms he witnessed Sophia's sanctification, declaring her irrefutably a Herman. Riverson states Sophia's qualifications will improve with study, but another elder protests, shouting, "Council head." The council head coolly states that being a Herman is not such a simple matter. He warns that the Hermans have many enemies, and a flawed descendant is prey, so she must be flawless. Riverson slyly proposes they settle the matter in the, quote, most sacred and impartial place. Hercio scoffs at the suggestion, asking if he means the temple and calling it a great joke. Ha ha ha! Sophia laughs nervously, sarcastically praising the council head's trustworthiness while questioning the temple's impartiality. She internally condemns the temple's corrupt priests as shameless, perverted bastards. She recalls a past life where she witnessed the priests' evil deeds firsthand in the duchy's backstreets. Hercio notes the high priest Charlone is in the duchy and asks if they are being requested to share memories. Sophia is shocked, recalling that powerful priests can read the memories of other people. Riverson proposes using High Priest Charlone and a memory projection device to confirm Sophia's past. Enraged, Theodore slams the table, refusing to let them pry into his daughter's painful memories. Riverson concedes, suggesting only a few elders attend, as Theodore grits his teeth in frustration. The council head claims the submitted materials are insufficient to confirm Sophia's qualification as a direct descendant. He tells Sophia that subjecting her to this process is the best act of faith he can offer. A bead of sweat rolls down Sophia's face as she stares forward, determined. Later, Sophia slumps into a chair with her bear, completely exhausted from the meeting. She clutches her head, realizing things have escalated into a much bigger fuss than she expected. Her thoughts turn to a time she met someone who could read memories. She remembers a suspicious sorcerer whose ability she distrusted, but approached out of curiosity. The sorcerer couldn't see her life in Korea, but read her life as Lithian to knife perfectly. He explains that seeing past lives is an ability that belongs in the scope of a god. The sorcerer continues, stating human abilities cannot transcend a single life. He says looking into all of a soul's lives is the work of Mnemosyne, the main god. The memory shows her looking bored while sitting with the cloaked man at a simple table. The sorcerer impatiently demands his payment of silver coins for the reading. Back in the present, Sophia worries that if the priest has a similar ability, her secrets will be exposed. Her eyes widen in panic as she realizes she's trapped, wondering what she should do. Wah. She jumps back, telling him to knock, but he calmly replies that he did. Ian correctly guesses the council meeting wasn't fun, and Sophia glares, thinking, this brat. He casually takes a seat on the arm of the chair beside her. Peeking from behind a column, Ian asks if she'd also like to learn sword arts from him. He tells her he learned swordsmanship at a young age, stating she must learn to protect what's precious. He declares this is the duty of a true man, and Sophia smiles slyly. She sarcastically congratulates him on being a man, leaving Ian utterly stunned by her retort. Ian apologizes, clarifying that a sword that protects people doesn't distinguish between men or women. Swoosh, he presents a gleaming, ornate short sword to her as a gift. He gives Sophia his first short sword, which their mother once used, leaving her speechless. Holding the sword, she thinks it's perfect for her dagger skills, and wistfully misses her mama. She gives the sword a small, appreciative smile. With a sudden demand, she tells a stunned Ian to buy her a dress too, She smiles slyly, confirming she'd also like a new dress. Beaming with excitement, Sophia declares she wants both dresses and swords. Ian smiles fondly at her enthusiasm and agrees to her request. Now in matching dark cloaks, Ian and Sophia prepare to leave, much to someone's confusion. Sophia panics, questioning how they can secretly sneak out and where he even got the cloaks. Ian calmly explains that sneaking out is more fun, causing Sophia to realize he's not the nerd she thought. She inwardly calls him a delinquent, as he coolly wonders where they should go first. Their destination is revealed to be a bustling, sunlit marketplace. The two cloaked figures walk through the lively market, surrounded by vendors and shoppers. A friendly baker greets them, as Sophia's eyes light up spotting chickpea bread. They happily eat the bread together, with Sophia declaring it's the best. Ian asks if she's having fun, and she agrees while secretly searching for the authentic one. Now sitting at a cafe surrounded by desserts, Ian asks if she feels good, and she happily confirms she does. Ian announces it's time to buy her a dress, deciding Jeanette's shop is the best option. Staring at a massive plate of desserts, Sophia wonders if he's trying to comfort her about the council meeting. A quick flashback shows Ian suggesting they get sweets, and a surprised Sophia agreeing. Back in the present, she enjoys her dessert, feeling grateful and resolving to prepare a countermeasure. She asks Ian if he knows anything about High Priest Charlone's memory-sharing ability. Ian thoughtfully considers her question, admitting that while most priests are swindlers, Charlone's ability is real. He explains Charlone can read memories via touch and project them with a tool, with recent, intense memories showing clearest. Ian teases her about a childhood confession, which she flusteredly denies, as she concludes Charlone is weaker than the wanderer she knew. Agu! A sudden cry for help startles Sophia, who turns around to look. A man in fine boots furiously yells at someone off-panel. The man, a priest, is seen beating a green-haired boy who begs him to stop. He viciously berates the commoner for stepping on his foot, ignoring the boy's pleas. Ian and Sophia watch with disdain as Sophia internally complains that all priests are the same. The priest spots Sophia and makes a lecherous offer to play, making her skin crawl. As the priest reaches out, Ian steps between them, blocking his path. Enraged, the priest demands to know who dares block him, boasting that he'll be on his knees soon enough. Ian coldly refuses to speak with the temple's dog, and tells him to get lost or die. Furious, the priest draws his sword, asking the little kid if he has a death wish. Ian draws his own glowing sword, his expression grim as he says, "Warned you." In a flash, Ian effortlessly defeats the priest, leaving Sophia impressed and jealous of his coolness. Sheathing his sword, Ian looks down on his defeated opponent and calls him lousy. As Sophia thinks the priest got what he deserved, Ian asks if she's actually considering killing him. Oh! Her expression twists into a terrifyingly gleeful smile as she lets out a maniacal laugh. The terrified priest looks up, as Sophia decides she'd like to avoid trouble, but with a chilling smile, she suggests they can at least cut off a few of the filthy pervert's fingers. Ugh! The priest lets out a terrified shriek. Eek! Screaming for help, the priest flees down the street, vowing they'll pay for this. As they watch him run, the rescued boy stands beside them in shock, while Sophia smiles, holding a pouch. The boy panics, warning that the priest will return with the temple's night order. But Sophia just calmly asks, "Really?" Waving them over, the green-haired boy urgently tells them to follow him to their hideout. As Sophia looks on, Ian grabs her arm and says, "Let's go," while trying to reassure her. Sophia beams with a radiant, happy smile. Following the boy downstairs, Sophia introduces herself as Sophia, and Ian introduces himself as Ian. Sophia smiles warmly, telling the boy, "Nice to meet you, Phil." A gentle smile crosses her face as she thinks to herself that it has been a long time. A flashback shows a younger Sophia happily with her precious friends, whom she met at Mama's home. She fondly recalls Phil's love for reading, which earned him constant nagging from Mama. She remembers Mama's home as a place of endless laughter that warmly embraced children without families. Inside, Phil proudly welcomes them to Mama's home, jokingly telling them to leave after killing some time. A figure with long red hair asks Phil if he's brought guests, and he happily confirms it. A thump. Sophia's heart fills with emotion as she thinks how much she missed her Mama, her master. Mr. Mama, a muscular man with a braided red beard, strikes a pose and welcomes them to rest. In a past memory, a young Sophia sits on the stairs and asks Phil why Mama is called Mama. She clarifies her question, asking why he's called Mama instead of Papa, but Phil simply replies that Mama is Mama. Phil admits that it is strange and something he also heard about from the older kids. After Phil's vague explanation, a confused Sophia asks if Mama is even okay with the name. A heartwarming image shows Mr. Mama surrounded by smiling children, one riding happily on his shoulders. She recalls how he taught them to write and defend themselves, hoping they would grow up safe. The memory continues, listing the various skills he taught them, from dagger arts to back alley negotiations. A younger Sophia fans herself beside Mr. Mama, who yawns elegantly. Her past self, Lithian, is shown skillfully leaping through the air surrounded by gold and jewels. Wah! Back in the present, Sophia raises her fists in excitement as Ian looks on with a stoic expression. The children from Mama's home excitedly recount how Ian's sword split the priest's blade in two. As Ian proudly accepts the children's admiration, Sophia grumbles in jealousy, missing when she was the one being idolized. Mr. Mama thanks them for helping Phil and asks where they're from, holding Sophia gently. Sophia smiles brightly, explaining they live nearby and just came to play on Haven Street. Ian looks around in confusion, asking what the place is as the children happily greet their mama. Holding a small child, Mr. Mama explains that he is the guardian of this home for children without parents. Sophia explains to a shocked Ian that the official orphanages are run by temples and are not safe. Looking at the happy scene, Ian quietly admits to a confused Sophia that he's jealous. Huh? Sophia panics, wondering if he's seriously thinking about the responsibilities of the Herman bloodline. A young girl peers out from a room, informing Mama that another girl named Carla hasn't eaten again. Mr. Mama grows concerned, noting it's been 3 days, as Ian asks if a child is sick. An injured girl named Carla lies bandaged in bed as the narration calls her attackers demons. Mr. Mama gently strokes Carla's head, encouraging her to eat and not give up. The other girls look on in sorrow, one cursing the filthy priest bastards under her breath. When one of the children suggests a special food called extra might help, someone shouts an emphatic, "No." Mr. Mama furiously turns, forbidding a girl named Savina from ever mentioning that again. Sophia's face falls as she realizes she never met Carla in her past life. She sadly wonders if by the time she arrived at Mama's home, Carla might have already been gone. Her expression hardens with resolve as she thinks that she can never get used to this sadness and anger. Mr. Mama watches over Carla, resolving to get more drugs and warning the others to be careful. Sophia frantically warns them to run from High Priest Charlone, calling him and his group demons. With a grim expression, Mr. Mama confirms that Charlone kidnaps children and does terrible things. He explains that children are locked in Charlone's villa and Carla's wounds from her escape are too deep. In a flashback, a crying girl blames herself for her and her friend getting hurt while escaping. From her bed, Carla weakly recounts that their escape from that hell was only possible with help from the other captives. Tears stream down her face as she whispers that she must go back and help them before it's too late. A red-haired person with a fake beard tells someone named Carla to get better first, wiping away a tear. A silver-haired child in a dark cloak offers a small red pouch, calling the person Mr. Mama. The red-haired person takes the pouch, looking puzzled. Opening it, they are stunned to find it full of gold coins and ask if the children are aristocrats. The red-haired person tries to return the money, warning Sophia and the silver-haired boy that their opponent is the high priest and they should leave. Sophia defiantly refuses to leave. The silver-haired boy, addressed as Mr. Mama, confidently reassures the person that the temple will fear their family. He places a hand on Sophia's shoulder as they stand together resolutely. He turns to Sophia, asking what she wants to do and reminding her of something he said. A memory surfaces of a regal blonde woman telling a young Sophia she is free to do as she wishes, as long as she doesn't run from her responsibilities. Remembering this, Sophia clenches her fist with determination. She recalls the sight of a wounded, dark-skinned girl crying in bed. Sophia's resolve hardens as she contemplates what she wants to do. The scene transitions to an ornate building on a place called Haven Street. Inside, a man with long, dark hair sits alone in a lavishly decorated room. A young attendant approaches, announcing that a letter has arrived for Sir Charlone. Sir Charlone smirks as he takes the letter. He asks if the escaped brats have been found. His attendant reports that priests are searching the back streets where they're believed to be hiding. Charlone laments what a sickening place it is and criticizes the Herman Duchy for neglecting the poor. He plots to become the imperial palace priest, after which he will destroy the slums and build a temple in their place. He cackles, imagining the poor looking up at him in desperation. His maniacal laughter echoes across the city under a full moon. The scene changes to the grand, sunlit Herman Palace. Sophia and the silver-haired boy stand before a desk where two stern, long-haired, silver-haired men are seated. The children stand before a grand door, Sophia thinking, "Whoa!" Sophia nervously thinks the two men look scary enough to eat someone. As they stare down the children, Sophia wonders why the atmosphere is so intimidating. She notes that the younger-looking, silver-haired man seems angry as well. He expresses his disappointment in the boy, scolding him for his habit of sneaking out of the palace. The man sighs, confessing that no one knew where she was and that he had been worried. Sophia is taken aback by his admission. As two comical guards appear in a thought bubble, she's shocked to learn she had been evading a Shadow Knight Order escort without even knowing. The older mustached man chides them, calling their behavior an irresponsible act for Hermans. The silver-haired boy named Ian apologizes and accepts his punishment, surprising Sophia. Sophia quickly steps forward, insisting she will also receive punishment and demanding they scold her as well, not just Ian. The older man addresses her as Sophia Herman, questioning if she truly understands the weight of her words. With tears in her eyes, Sophia affirms she is prepared for the responsibilities of a heraldin. To everyone's surprise, the old man erupts in hearty laughter. He calls her a very bold brat and praises her for acting just like a true Herman. The old man once again addresses Sophia Herman directly. He asks what it is she desires so much that she would willingly accept punishment to achieve it. Sophia's expression fills with determination as she places a hand over her heart. An opulent white carriage drawn by 4 white horses clatters down a street. The coachman commands someone named Raiwan to bow their head for High Priest Charlone. A crowd of young women gasps in admiration at the arrival of the Honorable High Priest. The carriage comes to a halt as the crowd chants, "High Priest Charlone." A group of townspeople, including a young girl with short brown hair, watches the scene unfold. The brown-haired girl looks on with starstruck, hopeful eyes. High Priest Charlone appears before the girl, smiling benevolently and asking if she's having a hard time. A young girl begs the High Priest to pray for her sick sister's health. High Priest Charlone agrees with a smirk, inviting the girl to visit his private villa. Townspeople murmur that High Priest Charlone is known for taking in children from the slums. Riding away in his carriage, Charlone smiles as the people praise his service to the goddess Mnemosyne. Once alone, his benevolent facade drops as he mutters, "How disgusting." He complains to the girl that the Herman Duchy is a terrible place, and she agrees. Charlone reveals his plan to use this favor to demand a position from the Grand Duke. He scoffs at the Herman family's arrogance, viewing it as his sacred duty to correct them. Charlone meets with an older man, Sir Elude, who confirms a requested magic tool has been installed. Sir Elude reports that a room for memory sharing has been prepared and compliments Charlone on his hard work. As he escorts Charlone, Sir Elude internally mocks the Hermans for their lack of taste, despite their wealth. Sir Elude leads High Priest Charlone down a lavish palace corridor. They are met by the intimidating presence of the 3 silver-haired men of the Herman family. Charlene offers a polite greeting while privately thinking their reputation as villains is well-deserved. The Grand Duke abruptly halts him with a raised hand. Much to Charlone's surprise, Charlene hides his annoyance behind a tight smirk, thinking of him as an old geezer. The Grand Duke glares down at him with an imposing and stern expression. Submitting, Charlone bows and respectfully kisses the Grand Duke's hand. The Grand Duke mentions that his granddaughter is looking forward to seeing the High Priest's rumored ability. A young blonde girl in a green dress approaches, and Charlone introduces himself as he offers a reassuring smile. Charlene is visibly flustered by the bold little kid. She smirks, welcoming him and cheekily wondering who will win, the demon or the villain. The High Priest, the girl, and a silver-haired man stand around a glowing magical artifact. The assembled nobles murmur, surprised she isn't afraid to have her memories shown. They whisper among themselves, debating whether her confidence stems from innocence or sheer arrogance. The younger silver-haired man watches the scene with a look of deep concern. He asks the Grand Duke, Joseph, if this is wise, but Joseph confidently assures him it will be fine. Joseph declares that the girl is not a disgrace to the Hermans as she stares up at him. The concerned young man remains silent, watching the proceedings intently. He bites his thumb, realizing the Grand Duke is smitten and worrying he'll have to contact the Kelkiers. Before the crowd, Charlone dramatically proclaims he can look into the memories of others. He presents his power as a divine grace from Mnemosyne, the god of memories. The Herman family watches stoically as Charlone declares he is fulfilling his destiny as the chosen one. He explains the Fidelis family's magic tool will project the girl's memories for all to see. Charlone boasts that the rare magical device was created specifically to demonstrate his miraculous power. As he explains that memories are often vague, Sophia thinks he's a braggart. He announces with a grin that the device will reveal Miss Sophia's most memorable moment. Charlene adds that it will show what she cherishes most, causing Sophia to flinch in surprise. He instructs Sophia to place her hand on the pillar of the magical device. Sophia approaches the device, her expression shadowed with uncertainty. Her eyes widen in a moment of reflection as she thinks of her past life. She remembers the happy days with a woman named Monica, a time she would have cherished in her past life. Now, she's unsure what matters most: gold, a cure, honor, or her own life. With hardened resolve, she focuses on what is truly important to her right now. She places her hand on the device, which erupts in a flash of brilliant purple light. A massive column of purple energy shoots up from the magic circle, enveloping the device. Sophia watches with a stern and determined expression as the magic activates. A vibrant purple orb of pure energy materializes within the device's mirror. From their seats, two of the Hermans watch as a voice explains the process of turning memories into evidence. The silver-haired man warns Sophia he will test her strategy. He knows High Priest Charlone's power reveals recent experiences, risking exposure of Sophia's secrets. Sophia internally acknowledges the potential what-ifs in her plan. She questions if risking punishment by a corrupt priest is worth it. Resolved, she confirms she's already thought about the risks. Despite knowing the odds are stacked against her, she concludes she has no choice but to act. She decides an ambush is the best tactic, inspired by her friend's advice. The men observe her strange combination of cowardice and confidence. Unsure of her own motives, she explains her reasoning. She continues, stating that it's something she is able to do. With determined conviction, she clenches her fist and declares, "I want to do it." Her father jokes about running if things go wrong, but Hercio refuses to let him. Sophia silently vows that she won't lose her father a second time. Her father warmly promises that he will believe in her and offer his help. She asks if his support still stands, even if it causes problems for the Herman family. Her father confidently assures her that the head of the family will handle any issues. Hercio is stunned, realizing with horror that he is the family head in question. A shocked Ian questions his father's words as Sophia stifles a laugh. Her father smiles reassuringly, promising to protect her no matter what happens. With tears in her eyes, Sophia happily accepts his promise. Later, a confident Sophia with a new hairstyle prepares for her plan. Her father watches as a magical orb begins to display his memory. He encourages Sophia to believe in him and find her courage. A dark-haired priest watches the pillar of pink magic, utterly confused. Two men in the audience murmur, wondering what is being discussed. The magical orb reveals a new memory, showing the face of a short-haired girl. In the memory, the girl introduces herself as Carla, a commoner who was locked up in High Priest Charlone's villa. The High Priest reacts with utter shock and disbelief at the public revelation. Carla's memory confirms she escaped, stunning the onlookers. Terrified, the High Priest internally panics, thinking there's no way this could be happening. Standing among purple roses, Sophia declares, "Let the game begin, Mr. High Priest." In a dark, menacing hall, sounds of pained gasps echo. Two small children huddle together in a cell, crying for their mother. A guard callously tells them to be grateful for food as they sob. Two men in religious robes cruelly suggest starving the children to stop their crying, recalling they only need to be kept breathing. The High Priest arrives, annoyed by the noise. He gives a chilling order to his men to prepare to send the kids away. With a cruel smile, he urges his men to move at once. A defiant girl shakes the bars of her cell, demanding to know what he takes them for. She confronts him directly, declaring that kidnapping commoners is a crime. He sneers, mocking her belief that she is valuable and precious. Leaning closer to the bars, he tauntingly asks what she thinks he takes her for. With a sickeningly sweet smile, he coldly declares that they are all trash. He tells the devastated girl that she is now useful and will soon be proud to be needed by someone important. He internally scoffs that they are just worthless beggars who deserve to be ignored. With a sinister grin, he taunts her, saying that if she were truly loved, someone would have already come to save her, shattering her remaining hope. Returning to the present, a bandaged Carla finishes telling her story, calling the high priest a demon. Crying, she desperately begs Sophia to save her friends and stop the priest's evil. Sophia remains silent, her expression hardening with resolve. She makes a silent vow to always hold the hand of anyone who asks for help. Remembering Carla's suffering, Sophia walks forward with grim determination. Eek! As Sophia's internal vow echoes, the priest collapses in terror. With glowing eyes, she fiercely resolves that the children will finally receive the love they deserve. The priest desperately argues that memories are subjective and Sophia must be mistaken. With a knowing smile, Sophia agrees that memories can indeed be distorted. She then dramatically proposes a surefire way to resolve the matter. Sophia suggests they simply check Carla's memories for the undeniable truth. Carla looks up with a mixture of fear and determination in her eyes. Arg! The priest shrieks in utter terror, pleading for them to stop. An older, gray-haired man gives a sharp command to arrest him. As guards seize him, the priest frantically screams that he's being framed. Once he's gone, a relieved Carla turns to thank Miss Sophia. Sophia warmly takes Carla's hands, telling her to just call her Sophia. She smiles brightly, encouraging Carla to forget the priest's horrible words. With a grateful smile, Carla quietly thanks her. A gray-haired man approaches from behind, calling out Sophia's name. He and a long-haired man both praise her, saying she did a good job. The gray-haired man watches her for a moment in thoughtful silence. A man with long white hair asks the gray-haired man, Elude, if he saw the events unfold. Standing before his faceless retainers, Elude is asked what he will do now. He closes his eyes and quietly prepares to speak. Turning to Sophia, Elude steps forward and begins to apologize. He bows deeply, apologizing for introducing such a man and blaming his own poor judgment for her troubles. He praises her courage as befitting a Herman, leaving Sophia flustered as she thanks him. The gray-haired man laughs heartily, remarking that our Sophie certainly resembles him. He suddenly sweeps a surprised Sophia up into his arms. Held aloft, Sophia stares back at him in complete shock. He beams with pride, proclaiming her to be an outstanding human. He carries the dazed Sophia as the group walks through the hall. He then pulls her into a gentle and protective embrace. As she leans into the hug, Sophia reflects on a foolish thought she had. She closes her eyes, recalling the tender embrace and her naive belief that everything would be all right. But she didn't know then that this was just one piece of a sinister conspiracy that would change her life. A purple sigil, the clock of fate, turns silently and without a break. A maid marvels at the magnificent palace, excitedly calling out to Miss Sophia. The maid, Sylvia, is absolutely thrilled that the high priest from the imperial palace is visiting. Sylvia explains to a calm Sophia that the royal high priest is the most powerful in the empire, amazed he's here in person. While Sylvia gushes about how great the Hermans are, Sophia knows the situation is not that good. Ever since Charlone's arrest, a new problem has arisen. To find the missing children, a high-ranking priest was dispatched to interrogate the imprisoned Charlone. Sophia worries with a headache, knowing that all her efforts will be for nothing if the children aren't saved. She asks Sylvia for an update, who reports that the priest is currently on break from his questioning. A soft sound from the doorway suddenly catches Sylvia's attention. A guard bows, announcing that the royal high priest, Exan, wishes to meet Miss Sophia. Sophia sits down for tea with two older men in a bright, ornate room. One of the men chuckles softly as he formally greets Miss Sophia Herman. The royal high priest, Exan, introduces himself, stating he genuinely wanted to meet her. Sophia asks why she's being sought out, and the high priest explains that she's already famous. Sophia panics, worrying that she's known for being a princess who steals. The high priest clarifies that she's famous because the missing princess has returned, much to her relief. He adds this was his only chance to meet her, while the gray-haired man declares Sophie will be a hit in high society, shocking her with his informal tone. She inwardly notes that this is the ambition of the worst villain family in the territory. The high priest smiles gently, remarking how much she resembles her mother. Sophia looks up, confused by his comment. She starts to ask if he knew her mother when a guard bursts in, apologizing for the intrusion. The guard kneels before them, delivering an urgent message from the interrogation team. The gray-haired man sternly asks what's going on, and the guard stammers in response. The guard reports that High Priest Charlone and his group have all suffered a sudden death. Sophia stares in wide-eyed shock at the stunning news. The gray-haired man rises, deciding to investigate personally, and the high priest calmly agrees. Left alone with the priest, Sophia wonders aloud how they could all have died so suddenly. As she turns back, the high priest simply says, "That's right." He smiles knowingly, suggesting that the great Mimicin has bestowed a divine punishment upon them. With a sinister smile, he leans closer and adds, "Unfortunately." Sophia looks on in horror, thinking to herself, "No way." The narration reveals that Priest Charlone and his group officially died from a heart attack. Since Herman magicians found no cause, the temple claimed it was divine power and took the bodies for investigation. Meanwhile, the Hermans focused their efforts on finding the missing children. As a result, the Herman family began to officially sponsor Mama's Home. Sophia encourages Carla, explaining that Mama's Home and the Hermans will now work together. A smiling Carla thanks Sophia, vowing to recover quickly so she can help. A new orphanage will be built in the south, ensuring Mama and the children can live happily and safely. And as for Sophia, her future is represented by a sparkling golden lion statue. She is given a lavishly decorated room, filled with golden lion decor. In a beautiful new dress, Sophia is officially admitted to the main palace. The gray-haired man welcomes her to stay, presenting the lion statues as a gift from him. She stares in disbelief as he asks for her opinion. Touching a statue, she's amazed it's real gold and decides she won't call him a villainous old man anymore. A younger Sophia stares at the golden lion, her thoughts turning to the past. She remembers how Hercio Herman abandoned her, refusing to negotiate with her kidnappers. She wonders why he's suddenly spending so much money on her, questioning if he's testing her. She confronts him, recounting how he refused the kidnappers' demands for money. Tearing up, she asks why he's being kind now after abandoning her when she needed him most. She recalls the pain of not being saved, feeling utterly betrayed and alone. Her bitter memories swirl as she questions why love is so hard and who she should resent for her lonely end. The gray-haired man looks down at her and states that he won't make any excuses. A symbolic image contrasts his cold gaze with her innocent eyes, separated by thorns and a rose. He claims his decision was the right one to make as a German. "I won't make any excuses, because my decision back then was the right decision to make as a Herman." 9 years ago, on a rainy day, he reflects that the situation was beneficial to him. Schwa! In a flashback, 3 hooded figures perform a magical ritual around a glowing scroll. Fla! The scroll levitates, glowing with intense purple energy. A maid reports to the gray-haired man that they have successfully tracked her location via the blackmail letter. He scoffs at the kidnapper's audacity for using magic to contact the Hermans. He raises his hand, ordering the black flag of refusal to be raised and declaring no negotiation with criminals. He commands the Shadow Knight Order to ride out, their horses splashing through the rain. In a dark flashback, he recalls thinking they could find her, even after ignoring the blackmail. 2 hooded figures discover a room full of corpses on a wooden floor. A close-up reveals one of the victims, a young man with a sack over his head. A subordinate reports to the gray-haired man that there were no survivors, leaving him to grimly question the scene. He wonders if it's truly a relief that Sophia isn't among the dead. Standing in the pouring rain, he furiously commands his troops to investigate and mobilize for a search. Crash! Amidst the chaos, an urgent cry rings out that the child is alive and must be found. The gray-haired man looks distraught, realizing they can't let a certain person know they've lost Sophia. Returning to the present, he tells Sophia he is ashamed of his arrogant past self. He explains that she was always precious to him and Theo, and they never gave up hope. In another flashback, he receives a report that the young Herman princess, a silver-haired girl with dyed hair, has been found. He sighs with frustration, realizing that not searching openly led to an information leak. He gives a brutal order to punish the imposters and send the fake child away to an orphanage. A smiling Sophia thinks about her dream of giving a better future to children. The gray-haired man laments that all his magic and power were ultimately useless in finding her. Sophia listens to his confession in complete silence. A close-up shot focuses on the winged sword medal on his uniform. He asks if she understands the meaning of her coral stone necklace, and she quietly confirms. He then kneels before her in a gesture of profound respect. Taking her hand, he thanks her for returning safely and begs for a second chance. He solemnly swears that this time he will protect her until the very end. The territory's greatest villain, and a rival to the imperial family, is asking her for forgiveness. Sophia is inwardly stunned, wondering how the formidable man became so soft. Choked up, she remembers her own vow not to be deceived by the family's handsome facade again. His gloved hands gently pull on the chain of her necklace. He gestures earnestly as he continues speaking to her. He apologizes, calling her Sophie, and she trembles while cursing her own weakness. He pulls her into a warm and gentle embrace. Held in his arms, Sophia's eyes well up with tears she can't hold back. He comforts her softly, telling her not to cry. Time passes, and a slightly older Sophia carries a stack of books through a sunlit hall. Sitting at her desk, she wonders if she can truly bring herself to trust the Hermans. An image of the 3 prominent Herman men fills her thoughts. She gazes forward with determination, contemplating what it means to have a family. Peeking into her room, she asks if someone is studying magic beasts today. A smiling, silver-haired boy named Theodore warmly greets Sophia. Theodore confirms he's studying magic beasts, while Sophia explains she is preparing for lessons, declaring his timing perfect. Ta-da! She presents a plate of adorable animal-themed snacks for them to share. Sophia asks if Theodore made them, and he confirms, nervously asking if she doesn't like them. She notes that his father doesn't eat with them, wondering if their relationship is strained. Theodore gets flustered when she asks if it's because his dad cooks, quickly denying it. He worries she's judging him with old-fashioned ideas, but she looks horrified at the suggestion. He admits that he just finds the situation a little awkward. With a bright smile, Sophia grabs a panicked Theodore's arm, insisting they go study with his dad. They enter a study, surprising a long-haired man and another silver-haired boy at a desk. The long-haired man stammers a welcome and offers cookies, while the other boy, Ian, finds the interaction amusing. The flustered long-haired man offers to bring less sweet cookies right away. Ian quickly holds up his hands, insisting that he's fine. When the man offers tea instead, Ian again declines, as Sophia lets out an amused sigh. 1 week has passed since Sophia was acknowledged as a direct descendant and began staying at the main palace. Sophia reflects that since becoming a Herman, one thing has changed significantly. Her study time has increased. Her father and Ian announce it's time for etiquette lessons, and a restless Sophia reluctantly agrees. Dressed in a beautiful new gown, Sophia presents herself with a gentle curtsy. She turns to show her father and Ian, who observe her with thoughtful expressions. Her father and Ian give her precise, picky instructions on etiquette, much to her inner frustration. Later, Sophia, Theodore, and a brown-haired boy discuss an upcoming visit to the royal palace, noting the invitation's special meaning. The narration explains that the royal palace has been closed for a decade, ever since the current emperor Kaisel ascended the throne. A sinister portrait introduces Emperor Casil Hevelius, known for his reign of terror and for coveting his brother's lover. Sophia feels apprehensive, recalling dark rumors that the palace grounds reek of blood and that the emperor is unstoppable. She considers that being invited must mean something, as an image shows a pink-haired princess holding hands with a man. Theodore explains that Princess Beatrice is the daughter of concubine Malletia Fidelis, and hopes the recent Charlone incident didn't anger the emperor. Sophia reflects on how the Fidelis family, who supported Charlone, suffered backlash after he was exposed as a criminal. She worries about the emperor's rumored volatility, thinking his fiancée must be concerned for him. Sophia panics, suddenly questioning if the dangerous visit will truly be all right. The brown-haired boy tells Theodore the Herman Knights want to spar with him and suggests he accept their challenge. Theodore begins to say that his father will personally join, but he's cut off as Sophia perks up with interest. Startled, Ian is grabbed by an excited Sophia, who insists they go watch his father's swordsmanship together. With lessons over, the brown-haired boy eagerly asks the long-haired man to show them his cool side. Her father hesitates, admitting he's worried his body isn't what it used to be, but agrees to a short session. The scene shifts to a grand estate, the site of the impending sword practice. In a stunning display of skill, her father effortlessly defeats, knight after knight, calling "next" after each victory. Whoa, Sophia watches in amazement, impressed by his overwhelming strength. Whoa, she's stunned that he's so powerful even without an arm or his aura, thinking he's incredibly cool. The knights praise her father, thanking him for the honor of sparring, while she wonders if there's anything he can't do. The brown-haired boy notes that Sir Ian's swordsmanship has already surpassed that of a high-ranked knight. Her father praises Ian's skill, but Ian humbly insists he still has much to learn. Ian turns to his father, looking hesitant but determined to ask him something. He formally asks his father to spar with him until he leaves for boarding school. Smile, her father agrees, a warm smile gracing his face. Shout! Inspired, Sophia suddenly declares that she wants to learn swordsmanship from her dad too. Later, her father discusses her request with the gray-haired man, admitting he had hoped she could live a life away from blades. The gray-haired man points out that Dorothy, Sophia's mother, also learned swordsmanship from him. Her father recalls how Dorothy taught him to cook in exchange for him teaching her swordsmanship. A flashback to boarding school shows a frustrated young Sophia yelling about a talented girl named Dorothy Fondian. She complains about how unfair Dorothy's talent is, while Dorothy herself looks on calmly. Despite her rivalry, Sophia compliments a young Theo on his cooking, telling him he's very cool. Theo is stunned as Sophia declares his cooking the most delicious in the world. When she says she wants to eat his cooking for life, a flustered Theo mistakes it for a marriage proposal. Back in the present, her father smiles fondly, remembering how much Dorothy loved his cooking. The gray-haired man asks if that memory is the reason he continues to cook himself. Her father confirms, wishing he could see her smile and enjoy his food again. Clink. The gray-haired man admits he once disapproved of his son cooking, fearing he had abandoned swordsmanship, but now sees he was wrong. He gives his son his blessing to do as he wants, smiling as he adds that things are already going his way. Over a table of exquisite desserts, he proudly asks, "Whose son do you think I am?" The scene shifts to an ornate red building as a voice shouts in agreement. In a dark memory, a furious red-haired woman blames a young boy for everything going wrong. Raise. She raises her hand, preparing to strike the boy. Flinch. The woman recoils as the boy glares up at her, his eyes glowing with a menacing golden light. Yank. He seizes her arm with contempt, calling her disgusting as she collapses, seeing a resemblance to another man. A red-haired boy frets, thinking everything is a mess and wondering what to do. He walks pensively down a long, sunlit colonnade. He greets a red-haired woman named Bethy, who is tending the garden for the Herman guests arriving tomorrow. With glowing yellow eyes, the boy smirks, confident that everyone will like the garden. A memory surfaces of a smiling red-haired girl surrounded by beautiful pink flowers. Her hand holds shears over a bed of brilliant red and pink roses. In a dark vision, a faceless man in a regal coat chokes a faceless red-haired woman. The story of Imperial Prince Castle is told. He became crown prince and took a red-haired woman resembling his dead brother's lover as his concubine. This woman was Militia Fidelis, the mother of the unfortunate Princess Beatrice, whose tragic tale is well known. After Militia's execution for treason, Beatrice and her brother were confined and left to suffer, with Beatrice shown falling lifelessly among wilting flowers. Back in the present, Sophia looks on with a worried expression beside Ian. A smiling red-haired girl, the princess, formally welcomes Ian Herman and Sophia Herman. A table is laden with an exquisite spread of sparkling desserts and tea. Ian, Sophia, and the red-haired princess sit together for tea in a beautiful garden setting. Sophia happily eats a piece of cake, savoring the deliciousness. She thinks the imperial food is on another level, as delicious as her father's desserts, and wishes to enjoy it peacefully. Ian notices the princess's hesitation as she tries to speak, while Sophia watches them. Ian introduces himself, but the flustered princess shouts that she already knows, prompting Sophia to think how awkward she is. Ian reassures Sophia it's understandable to be confused after so long, while Sophia muses that she thought it was just an arranged marriage. Sophia wonders if the princess is in love with Ian, as the princess blushes and denies it. Observing that Ian doesn't seem to dislike the princess, Sophia thinks she should be more confident. Sophia recalls her teacher's advice that the princess likes flowers and gets an idea. Taking the advice, Sophia compliments the princess on the very pretty garden. She remarks on how amazing it is that the flowers are in full bloom, knowing they require proper care. The princess asks if Sophia likes the Militra's flowers, and Sophia enthusiastically agrees they're pretty and fragrant. An illustration reveals that Militra's flowers are excellent for detoxification and pain relief. Sophia recalls the flowers saving a comrade in the back streets and declares them her new favorite. Glad that she likes them, the princess walks into the garden to pick some flowers as a gift. She presents Sophia with a beautifully wrapped bouquet of white flowers. Ian compliments the princess's skill and notes the western ribbon, which she confirms as Sophia happily accepts the bouquet. Thrilled that Ian recognized the ribbon, the princess explains Western crafts are the best, while Sophia quietly slips away. As the princess chatters on, Sophia winks to herself and leaves, wishing her good luck. Sophia wanders through the Wind Palace, noting its surprising simplicity and lack of jewels. She freezes in her tracks as she hears a distant shout, "Monster." Puzzled, she turns, wondering what she just heard. A sudden, violent memory echoes of a red-haired woman screaming that she shouldn't have given birth to a child she calls useless. The red-haired woman, her eyes glowing with fury, demands the child prove his loyalty by offering his life. Her face twisting into a dark mask of rage, she forces a glass on the red-haired boy, commanding him to drink it. The bruised boy silently holds the glass of dark liquid. He resignedly takes a sip from the glass. The woman laughs cruelly, glad he obeys even as a monster, and declares she will do the same to the emperor. She sneers that he's a monster just like his father, and the boy collapses, trembling and retching. As the woman walks away, disgusted, Sophia peeks through the doorway, witnessing the scene. Sophia watches in shock from the doorway, completely bewildered by what is happening. Her eyes fixate on a purple magic circle on the back of the woman's hand, wondering if it's a tattoo. Realizing the danger of a magic circle on the body, Sophia concludes the imperial palace is insane and that she's witnessing child abuse. As the woman leaves, Sophia worries for the boy still collapsed on the floor. The boy struggles to breathe, blood trickling from his lip. With a final thud, he collapses face down, groaning in pain. Peeking from the door, Sophia watches in horror, fearing he might die. Gulp. Sophia looks nervous as she approaches. Creak. She steps into her room, thinking the woman she saw earlier might be concubine Malesha. Trembling on the floor is a red-haired boy, and she realizes who he must be. Looking at the collapsed boy, she stammers in shock. Her memory flashes back to a tormented young Leo Hevelius, years after Beatrice died. The narration recalls how Leo killed the imperial family, took the throne, and visited the Herman Duchy. She remembers the red-haired man on his white horse, confirming the memory. In a crowd, a younger Sophia recalls his cruel, cold-blooded eyes. She remembers his black outfit and pale, arrogant face. His glowing golden eyes look down on the suffering people of the duchy. The memory of her younger, defiant self fades. The scene returns to the present. Beneath a grand, golden chandelier, Sophia kneels beside the collapsed boy and a spilled glass. Sniff. She inspects the glass, recognizing the color and scent of a poisonous herb. Realizing concubine Malesha poisoned her own son, she thinks the woman must be crazy. Fortunately, she thinks the non-fatal poison can be neutralized with flowers she brought. The boy sits up, weakly asking who she is. Shout. When he asks if she's a servant, she retorts that she isn't, proud of her fine clothes. She introduces herself as Sophia Herman, confirms he's Leo Hevelius, and offers to cure him. He dismisses her help, but she insists that he's still in pain. Remembering her own past suffering, she resolves that she can't ignore someone in pain. She stares with empathy as he looks down, surprised by her concern. Leo scoffs, saying he senses no dignity from her and questions if she's truly a Herman. He tells her to leave, but she retorts that he shouldn't be so concerned with such things. Rage! When he threatens her, Sophia finally loses her temper. Clench. She sarcastically notes how eloquently the prince speaks. Shout. She yells at him to stop talking and shoves the bouquet in his face to eat. A few minutes later, both are panting on the floor, exhausted. She asks if he feels better, smugly noting his swelling is down. She tells him not to suffer alone and to find a specific flower for help. Leo refuses her help, insisting his sister Beatrice must not know about this. Sophia argues his sister will worry, but he says that's precisely why it would be trouble. Grit. He grits his teeth and curses in frustration. Leo bows his head slightly in a gesture of reluctant gratitude. Sophia watches him, a look of surprised concern on her face. A young woman in a pink dress and a silver-haired boy arrive, addressing Leo. The boy asks if Leo annoyed her, but Sophia explains that the prince kindly helped her when she was lost. Sophia and Leo exchange bright, happy smiles, each thinking of the other's kindness. With a bow and a curtsy, Sophia and the silver-haired boy announce their departure. Glance. As they leave, Sophia looks back at Leo one last time. Leo and the girl in the pink dress watch them go. Left alone, Leo worries that his mother will try to get rid of him. A determined expression crosses his face as he thinks. But a vision of his smiling sister appears as he vows not to leave Beatrice alone in the palace. Watching them from a distance, Sophia notes their good sibling relationship. The scene shifts to the Herman estate as Ian's vacation comes to an end. Sophia and her father see Ian off, and she cheerfully demands he spar with her upon his return. She proudly presents a pie she and her dad baked, which Ian accepts with thanks. Her father apologizes for missing Ian's birthday and then turns the conversation to his swordsmanship. Her father praises Ian's diligence, confident he'll soon surpass his own father, and wishes him good health. Smile. Ian promises to return, a gentle smile on his face. Rattle. Sophia and her father wave as the carriage departs. As she waves goodbye, narration explains the aristocratic school is managed by select families, including the Hermans. The school, a grand estate, is said to be a place free from the empire's interference, where even the imperial family has no power. Sophia considers that this means Prince Leo is also considering the school as an option. She recalls that in her past life, Leo couldn't attend because his mother was executed, and his adult sister, Beatrice, couldn't enroll. At her desk, Sophia decides it's study time and considers writing a letter. Scribble. She writes a thank you letter to Princess Beatrice, telling her how much she enjoyed the visit. The letter mentions her desire to visit again and smell the carefully cared for Malatra's flowers. She considers that Malthras can detoxify many things and believes Prince Leo is smart enough to use them well. Freeze. She recalls Leo's condescending comment about her having no dignity, retorting in her mind what a little kid like him would know. She wonders why she's worried about the vengeful boy, remembering there are still 5 years until his mother is executed, and questions if Lithium was always so nosy. Smack. She slaps her cheeks to snap out of it, insisting the imperial palace isn't her business when she has her own problems. Flop. Overwhelmed, she collapses onto a chair, hugging her teddy bear and declaring, it's not her problem. Hugging her bear, she hesitates, thinking, but a vision of blooming Malatra's flowers appears, representing a beautiful but deceptive future that awaits two people. The video shows a smiling Beatrice warmly hugging a reluctant-looking Leo. The scene shifts to an elegant hallway as a voice sighs. A maid named Sylvie expresses her excitement for Miss Sophia's upcoming birthday party to 2 other maids. Another maid asks Sylvie if she's not scared of the preparations, noting she heard the banquet will be the greatest ever. Blabber. Sylvie excitedly lists the perks for the staff, including delicious food, cake, a day off, and a bonus. Sophia, the supposed star of the banquet, sits glumly on a sofa, feeling at rock bottom despite the excitement. Clutching her teddy bear, she worries about her lack of a solution for the magic beast ambush at the border town. She considers pestering her grandfather to station the Herman Knight Order at the border as a last resort. Flinch. A sharp inner voice scolds her for the foolish idea, as her father works quietly in the background. Sniff. Holding her bear, Cézanne, she despairs over how her simple plan to steal a cure went so wrong. Swish! Her father appears behind her, asking what's wrong. He leans in excitedly, asking if she's finally realized she wants something she can't get, making her think he's planning her birthday gift. She smiles, thinking any expensive gift she can sell will do, and tells him she isn't stuck on her studies. Sophia asks to visit Mama's home, and her father correctly guesses she means the Herman orphanage. She explains she wants to visit in person, and her father, relieved, agrees to take her right away. Done. Standing beside her father outside, a confused Sophia wonders what is happening. Clip. She asks him where on earth they are going. Clop. Her father simply comments on the refreshing weather, while she agrees with hesitation. Whoosh! She's shocked to find herself on horseback with her father, escorted by a massive troop of knights, wondering if they're going to war. 2 knights enthusiastically promise Miss Sophia a perfectly safe escort, which she finds slightly burdensome. Laughing nervously, she realizes this grand procession is a normal outing for the Hermans. The memory reminds her of a day Ian snuck out, and she understands why he did it alone. In a flashback, a hooded Ian suggests they sneak out for fun, then realizes he was tricked too. They arrive at a village where a green-haired boy and a dark-haired girl welcome them. Sophia happily greets Phil and Carla, who eagerly take her hands. Her father notes how bright the children are, and a red-haired man with him agrees before asking for a report. Alone with the 2 children, Sophia asks them for an update. Carla reports that the older girls from the orphanage have found jobs in the border town and can now send letters. Sparkle. Sophia reveals she's monitoring the border town in advance, as she plans to open a business there. Shine. Winking, she flips a gold coin to the children as payment for their information. The 2 children marvel at the gold coin, exclaiming that money is the best, while Sophia recalls her new monthly allowance of 20 gold coins. A pile of gold coins gleams as narration declares that those who say money can't buy happiness simply don't have enough. Phil wisely states they must be exact with money, and Sophia agrees, insisting they write a contract despite their pact. The dark-haired girl asks how she knows about the secret pact of Mama's home. Sophia proudly reveals she's an honorary member, granted access by Mama before she regressed. Clench. She clenches her fist, declaring that members of Mama's home always help each other. The two children agree, adding that Mama's home also keeps secrets strictly. Shout, the three children cheer, vowing to uphold the pact. With a villainous laugh, they plot to plant informants across the continent, starting with the border town, enticed by Sophia's promised bonuses from the Herman's money. The next morning, the Shadow Knight Order, cloaked in black, prepares to leave for the border town. Ian tells Sophia he believes in her and reminds her to do well on her homework. When Sophia asks why he's going, Ian explains they're cooperating with the Fidelis family on the Charlone case, but the investigation has stalled. She looks confused, asking what the Fidelis family has to do with the border town. Ian explains that the border town is within Fidelis territory, right next to their palace. Sophia's eyes widen in dawning comprehension. Flash! She gasps in shock, realizing the implications. A dark memory returns of the nobles who abandoned the town to destruction. She considers the large scale of the Shadow Knight Order's involvement in the case. Brighton. Sophia beams, realizing a knight stronghold there could protect the town from magic beasts. Her father puts an arm around her, promising to visit for her birthday, despite his long trip. Glowing with happiness, she promises to wait for him. Later, reports confirm the Herman Shadow Knight Order has arrived and rented buildings in the border town for a long-term stay. Reading a report, Sophia notes that knights have a wide patrol range, even reaching the Fidelis Palace. Pondering on a sofa, she finds the beast's activity unusual for the season and hopes everything goes smoothly. With a confident smirk, she thinks that with the expert Herman Knights and her powerful father, things should be fine. The maid, Sylvie, delivers a letter to Sophia. Crumple. As she holds the letter, Sophia's expression turns to confusion. Thum. Her eyes widen in horror as she reads that her father is reportedly sick in his lodging.